You're checking in with the doctor for the greatest fantasy baseball podcast in the world, starring your hosts, Dr. Fantasy.
I'm ready to rock and roll today.
And Rydawg.
A Harrison masturbator.
Welcome to Doc and Dog, your fantasy baseball geniuses, presented by the Fantasyholics.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Doc and Dog, presented by the Fantasyholics. My name is Jordan Jaika, aka Dr. Fantasy, and I am here with my co-host Rydawg, and we are in the middle of a new mini-series here where we are going through our starting pitching rankings. And today we are discussing our consensus rankings number 7 through 12. So we won't chatter much. We'll hop right into it with number 12, Aaron Nola. He is ranked 12th on both of our lists. Last season he was 12-7. He had 202 innings pitched, 229 strikeouts, had a 3.87 ERA, a 1.27 WHIP. So his numbers weren't overly impressive last season. I just like Nola a lot as a pitcher. I think he offers a tremendous amount of upside. He's going to be the ace in Philly for, the foreseeable future. But I think last year was a little fluky to me. I think he's better than he pitched. Number 12 may be a little high, but I just really like his upside. And if he has another season like last year, obviously he's going to slide way down these rankings next year. But I really like his upside. The ballpark does concern me, but he's one of those guys. The only reason I put him ahead of Clevenger and Glasnow, who are my next two after him, is just because I'm not really concerned about the injuries.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think I have Nola and Snell kind of the same. They're both young pitchers that seem like they both had an odd fluky year. I think we should both see those guys bounce back next year. Who knows if they bounce back to complete elite form, but a high 3, low 4 ERA is definitely not like them. They should be at least in the mid 3 ERAs for sure.
And number 11 for us is Chris Paddack. He is number 11 in my rankings, number 12 in yours. Last season, he had a 9-7 record, 140 innings pitched, 153 strikeouts, a 3.33 ERA, and a WHIP below 1 with a .98. So another guy, very young, has a tremendous amount of upside. He pitches in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. Good K rate, good control of his pitches. I think we are yet to see the best from him. Once again, I push some of these guys up my rankings because of the way that the season is unfolding at this point. And Paddack's another one of those guys who hasn't gotten an opportunity to pitch 170, 80 innings in a year. So, we're not really going to have to worry about stretching him out this season. And that's where you see some pitchers struggle if they haven't pitched that many innings in a season. But we're not going to have to worry about that this year. So I think he's young. He offers a tremendous amount of upside. And I like him as a back-end number 1 pitcher or a high-end second pitcher.
And that's where I have him as well. We both have him ranked very similar. I think Paddack is definitely a guy that we only saw a glimpse of what he can do. I think going forward, Paddack's going to be really fun to watch. And I think given the shortened season, it's definitely going to benefit all these young pitchers, actually, even the pitchers that are hurt. It's going to benefit them very well, and I'm excited.
I agree. Number 10 in our rankings is Luis Castillo. He is number 10 in my rankings, number 9 for you, bringing us to a consensus of 10. His last season, he had a 15-8 record, 190 innings pitched, 226 strikeouts, a 3.4 ERA, and a 1.14 WHIP. The reason I like him over Paddack is this is a guy that's already shown he can pitch 190 innings. He's been stretched out, no real injury concerns, one of the best changeups in baseball. He's already shown he can have over 225 strikeouts in a season. Still very young. He's right in that 27-year range, which I really like for a pitcher. So I think he still has more upside and there's more great things to come. He had a great season last year, and I expect him to build off of it.
I completely agree. And I I wouldn't mind taking him as my number one pitcher at all if he falls to at the right spot. If I go heavy hitting in that draft, I think it all depends on when I'm drafting, where I'm going to start taking my number one pitcher. Would I take two high pitchers, or do I build hitter heavy? And I like to have a lot of teams and experiment with that. So if I have him as a second pitcher, even my number one, I'm happy either way.
Yep. The number 9 in our rankings is Patrick Corbin. I had him at 9. You had him at 10. Last season, he had a 14-7 record, 202 innings pitched, 238 strikeouts, a 3.25 ERA, and a 1.18 WHIP. To me, I think he's one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball, because we don't talk about him as a starting pitcher one in fantasy formats, but he hasn't done anything that's proved otherwise. I mean, almost 240 strikeouts. Every time he's been healthy throughout the course of his career, he's put up big numbers. So I think that I have him in my top 10 rankings, but realistically, you're going to be able to get him as a kind of mid-tier second starting pitcher. And I think a ton of value there. And I know the one league where I traded him, I think I had him as my third pitcher, and I took him like pretty late. And he's just because he's one of those names that isn't sexy, but he puts up numbers every single year.
I completely agree. I think it has to do with his age. Patrick Corbin is in his early 30s now, but he didn't really start showing elite status until 28, 29. It was his last year with the D-backs that he showed elite status, and he's been cashing in, and he's been looking great ever since we gave him that contract. And he's also the number 3 pitcher for the Nats for the time being, at least. I still think Scherzer's going to crash down hard. And I think Corbin's going to be a great number 2 pitcher going forward. And that's a team issue. We'll need a number 3, but I think Corbin is definitely just the quietest pitcher in all of baseball. His stats are very, very consistent across the whole board with ERA, WHIP, wins, strikeouts, innings pitched, K9. I wouldn't mind taking him as my number 1 pitcher at all. I mean, but he just falls so late that you can get him as your number 2, and that's a win-win.
Yep. Number 8 in our rankings is Clayton Kershaw. He is 8th in both of ours, so he's number 8 in our consensus rankings. Last season, he was 16-5, had 178 innings pitched, 189 strikeouts, had a 3.03 ERA, and a 1.04 WHIP. I still think that Kershaw is very underrated in most drafts. He's going beyond the top 10 starting pitchers. And I mean, he's early 30s now. He's had a few injuries, but nobody, when they pitch, has been more consistent than Clayton Kershaw. And he's a guy that I expect to continue to age gracefully just because he's such a master of the strike zone. And even as he loses some velocity over time, I think that he's the kind of pitcher that's going to be able to pitch into his late 30s. I really do. I just think he's that masterful. So, I think he's still being undervalued. And if he's one of those pitchers in the early round, if you're kind of looking for a slam dunk, okay, I know he's going to put up numbers. I mean, to me, he's your guy.
Yeah, he is what do you call a slam dunk? I completely agree. I think people are starting to undervalue him just because they expect so much of Kershaw, but people get older, and I think Kershaw was one of the pitchers that had his elite years, his best years at such a young age, and now he's getting older. And people are realizing, well, this isn't Kershaw. Kershaw would go out there and pitch over 200 innings and get almost 260 strikeouts and have a 1.8 ERA. I mean, but people aren't realizing that Kershaw's just getting older, and he doesn't really need to fill that role anymore of being the Dodgers' best pitcher. I mean, you could say he is their number 1, but I think having Buehler there has helped him a lot, where he could kind of take a back seat of the ace role of that rotation, where he can just go out, perform consistently, get you a 3 high 2 ERA, almost 200 strikeouts, and probably 15 wins in that ballpark, and that's definitely great numbers. And I would take that as a pitcher 1 all day.
For sure. And then we will end it with our 7th ranked pitcher, Steven Strasburg. He is 7th on my list, 6th on yours. Last season, in his World Series MVP campaign, he was 18-6, had 209 innings pitched, 251 strikeouts, a 3.32 ERA, and a 1.04 whip. I mean, those are absolutely elite numbers. He was a top 5 pitcher for most of the fantasy season. You know, he's been an ace when he's healthy throughout the entire course of his career. Only thing that concerns me, and I mentioned this to you earlier, is that he pitched almost 250 innings between the regular and postseasons last year. You know, he's never had that kind of workload. Maybe luckily for him, he's had a little extra time to recoup. He could be another guy that benefits from that, but that's the only thing that concerns me. But he's one of the most talented pitchers in all of baseball, and he should be drafted as a pitcher 1.
Yeah, he's definitely a rock hard slam dunk pitcher 1. I think Strasburg, he's going to have more years to come. And I say that because I've watched him his whole career. I mean, I remember being in middle school when we drafted Strasburg. I remember being at his MLB debut game, actually. And he's never had a workload like this, like you said. He's also never pitched 200 innings until last year, I believe. So he's definitely going to be one of those pitchers that he's going to pitch into his mid-30s, and he's going to be elite. He's going to be like Scherzer, kind of how Scherzer didn't start reaching his elite status until his early 30s. I'm taking Strasburg in every league I possibly could at his price tag. I think he's going to be worth that contract. We paid him for sure, and he's going to retire as a Nat.
That's all that we have for this episode. We went through our starting pitchers ranked 7 through 12. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. If you don't already, make sure you like the Fantasy Holics on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you check out our new website, thefantasyholics.com. So that's all we have. We will see you guys next time.
See you later.